This CyCast is provided to you by the Iowa State Letter Winners Club, bridging the gap between legend and legacy by engaging in our past to invest in our future.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our most recent CyCast, our latest CyCast. And we have an amazing guest today in AJ Klein. He was the 2012 Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year and a two-time first-team All-Big 12 linebacker. And if you haven't followed AJ's career, he's had one of the greatest NFL careers in Iowa State history. He enjoyed a 11-year NFL career, and that's on top of him at Iowa State having the fourth most tackles in school history. And he just recently retired, and he's also recently just got the news that he's a member of the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame. Thanks for joining us, AJ.
I appreciate you for having me.
Well, I tell you what, kind of tell the folks out there your reaction when Jamie Pollard told you that you're the latest inductee of the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame.
Speechless. Speechless. I mean, I don't think I'm necessarily deserving, but truly honored that and to hear Jamie said it's voted on by peers and former letter winners, and it's just really special. I mean, the university means a lot to me, and gave a lot of my time and effort and my time there, and it's just really cool to know that I'll be in that Hall of Fame and be something that my kids can look back on, and,
Yep.
and even myself. And it's a lot of fond memories of my time, and yeah, just really special.
Yep. Now, let's start from the beginning, AJ. Growing up in Wisconsin, and I kind of want to ask you about your recruitment to Iowa State.
Okay.
You were technically signed under Coach Chizik, correct?
I was.
Yeah. So he signs you and then he leaves. And
Yes.
how tough was that for you? Did you, obviously we hired Paul Rhodes.
Yep.
And did he have to resell you on Iowa State when he got the job?
I would say, yeah, he did. Not Iowa State and Ames as a university, because it obviously had the school that I was looking to study, and I mean, Ames is a college town, like that didn't have to be resold. They had to resell themselves as a coaching staff and what they're going to do, and everything else. So yeah, it was tough. I was very close to reopening my recruiting.
Yep.
I know right after Coach Chizik had left, I started getting phone calls and emails and messages. And by that time, because he left late in the winter after my senior season, I think it was in the winter time.
It was like
culminated.
Yeah, mid-December. I think it was mid-December. Yeah.
So my football season for my senior year had already been done. My senior year highlight tape had already gone out, and it started to drum up a lot of interest from other schools. And not too far after when Coach Rhodes took the job, he actually flew out to see me and my family in my hometown. And I think him coming out and how he spoke about the program he wanted to build, the people he was looking to have as cornerstones of the program, and even the coaching staff that he started to assemble, maybe take a step back and go, maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe this is where I'm meant to be. Maybe this is kind of already written, you know what I mean? That this is where I'm supposed to be. And not too long after that, after talking with my parents and thinking about other options, I didn't want to have to go through another recruiting process. I didn't want to have to take visits. I didn't want to have to, I already had met some of the guys that I committed with, some of my Kyle Lichtenberg, for example, met a lot of these guys already that I knew I was going to be going to school with. And I didn't want to have to go through that all again.
Yeah.
At the same point, but it ended up working out for the best. And it's the best decision I made.
Yeah. Well, we're so glad that you did make that decision. And, you did something rare your first year. You didn't redshirt, because a lot of people at that time would redshirt your first year. And you found, you saw the field right away, primarily on special teams, but you did, play a little bit on linebacker. When did you, I guess two questions. How happy were you that you were going to play right away, and how did Coach Rhodes break it to you that when you're not redshirting, we see something in you that you're going to be part of this from the get-go?
Well, to be honest, going into it, I never even considered redshirting. I don't even know, to be honest, I don't even know if I knew what redshirting was.
Yeah.
I just had the forethought and anticipation that I was going to go and play. I know as far as my body and maturity of the body and everything, you know how that goes. A lot of guys need an extra year to mature, gain weight, especially offense, defensive linemen, those kind of guys. But I felt like I was at a good playing weight. I was strong, all the other things. And I was like, well, if I can learn this defense and I know I can at least be a contributor on special teams,
Yep.
I'm not looking to sit out a year and just be a practice guy. I wanted to play, and I think obviously, I don't know, I'm not sure how that conversation with Rhodes went. I think it just naturally evolved to being, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what you're running with, and this is what's going to happen. So, yeah, I was really glad because, I mean, I didn't even get on a plane until my freshman year. To go into Texas A&M was our first away game.
Yeah.
And I remember that was the first time I got on the plane. So,
Oh, wow. That had to have been eye-opening for you.
Yeah, very eye-opening. Now, ever since then, too many to count.
Yep, exactly. So let's move ahead to your sophomore year, which is the 2010 season, and boom, you've earned this spot at linebacker. And Iowa State fans can attest to this. They're very fortunate. We were blessed for 3 years to have, I would argue, the greatest linebacker tandem in Iowa State history, and yourself and Jake Knott. How special was that those last 3 years? Just getting a chance to start those final 3 years with a caliber player of Jake back there.
Well, it was special. We had obviously a special bond on the field, and obviously the interpositional competition. Like, we both pushed each other, and that whole group of guys, right? We obviously wanted to be the best in the Big 12, and I think we proved that week in, week out over those next 3 years. But I also think it was nice to have some continuity. To have the same faces and not have this big Rolodex of guys coming in and out. We were very lucky to avoid major injuries that put us out for long periods of time. So that was a huge thing. So, but yeah, just having the same face next to you, to be able to work together, watch film together. We roomed on the road together. So it definitely helped with our success for sure.
Yeah, so when Coach Rhodes came in and 2009 season, he brought with him a defensive coordinator, Wally Burnham.
Yep.
How much of an impact did Coach Burnham have on your career?
Huge. He taught me football. He taught me how to study film. He taught me the ins and outs of defenses and why we call certain plays when and certain blitzes and why we playing this coverage, why we playing zone, why we playing man, why, like, a lot of that stuff in college or in high school. Especially when we were coming out, it was see ball, get ball. Obviously, my high school coaches did a good job getting us prepared, and we were a successful high school program. But as far as the in-depth studying of the game, it's the same probably now for most kids. They come to college and it's eye-opening. Like, I have to know how much, I have to do what. The learning curve is not necessarily easy, but and obviously Wally being my position coach as well. He was hard on us. Don't get me wrong. He was hard. He was hard on us as coach, as players, and he expected us to know everything, and especially at the linebacker position of being leaders of the defense. So, but he was very integral part of my success. Without him, I don't know if I become the player that I become because he was so strict. He's like, you got to know it. And if you want to play on this team and you want to play on this defense, you got to know it. So
yeah. Obviously, AJ, you were a member of 3 bowl teams at Iowa State, which means if you're making 3 bowl games, you had some big wins. And there's some wins I want to kind of ask you about in this CyCast. And the first one is kind of obvious, is the 2011 Oklahoma State game. And you had there's so many amazing plays in that game, as we all know. But people forget you had a team high 14 tackles in that game. What was it like to be on the field that night? Because, I think most Iowa State fans will still rank that as one of the greatest games in school history.
Yeah, it was special. The atmosphere, it was a Friday night game, wasn't it?
Yep, that's correct.
Friday night game. And it was one of those atmospheres where it's like we came out, we knew that we were the only game on TV.
Yep.
And I don't know, there's just something weird in the air. I remember they came in, trying to think, quarterback's name again.
Brandon
Whedon.
Whedon.
Yep, Whedon. So Brandon Whedon. So they were obviously spread out, 5 wide, airmail, still hit you in the run game, and people didn't give us a chance, right? And I think Barnett started for us.
That's correct.
At quarterback. And I don't know if that was his first start, second start. It was new.
If it wasn't his first, it was one of his early ones.
We were Rolodexing at quarterback, and I know defensively we were playing well. And the big question mark was, hey, how can this offense stack up against the high-flying offense of Oklahoma State? And I was like, hey, as a defense, if we can keep this game close, we got a shot, right? Defense wins championships. Defense ends up winning big games. And it was a shootout, back and forth. And but it just goes to show the energy of Jack Trice that night. I mean, it could have went to 8 overtimes. I think we have put it all on the line. It was second to last game of the season?
Yes, that's correct. Yep, that's right.
Yep. So it's like, hey, we get this win, seed ourselves good for a bowl game. You know what I mean? And the upset alert. It wasn't even thinking upset. It's like, no, we can play with this team. We can play. I'm trying to think of the wide receiver Oklahoma State had too.
Was it Blackman, Justin Blackman?
Justin Blackman, Biletnikoff Award winner.
Yeah,
this guy was just all-world stud, right? It's like, oh, how are we going to stack up on the outside? Jeremy Reeves, only 5'8". This guy's 6'2", runs 4.3. Like, you know what I mean? And Jeremy Reeves is a fantastic football player. But we knew, I mean, we had the nitty-gritty guys, the guys that weren't afraid to go to work, and to just kind of like just gut it out, to be honest. It was a gutsy win, and to be at home and to do it in front of our fans, and have the field rushed. I mean, it was a really cool experience. And even sometimes you get, like, you see those flashbacks or stuff that's posted on social media sites, and sometimes you just black out, right? After the win happened.
Yeah.
The field was swarmed, and you kind of you forget stuff. But it was a really, really cool, I mean, and hopefully a pivotal turning point for our university's football team and for the football program to be like, hey, we're here. We can compete with the best of the best. And we're not going to go anywhere. Like, if you come to Ames or if we go on the road, expect a hard-fought game. Like, we're not just going to lay down just because you come in here with a high ranking or whatever it is. And I think that's what we pride ourselves on as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, 2 other games I kind of want to bring up, and you know, that happened during your amazing career, AJ, are the 2 wins over Iowa your last 2 years. And the one your junior year was
crazy too. That was
crazy, nuts. Hot, double overtime.
I remember
and forth.
I was cramping on the sidelines that game, and I was like, is this game ever going to end?
I think everyone was cramping that day. Mm-hmm. But when it ended, you know, James White scored, you know, winning touchdown, and I can't imagine the excitement and relief that all you had after that.
That was great. That was great, especially for the last 2 years playing against Iowa. We got, lack of a better term, embarrassed my freshman and sophomore year. I mean, the game, I think sophomore year is a little bit closer, but I mean, it wasn't. We weren't on the same playing field as Iowa those 2 years. And I'm glad they changed the trophy too, because I remember that crappy trophy that they had that junior year.
I think that was the makeshift one, wasn't it?
That was the makeshift one. The thing broke during the celebration.
Yeah. They got it corrected for your final.
Yeah, they got it corrected. But no, awesome win. Like I said, another shootout, and every single year with Iowa is a nail biter. It's always going to be the rivalry. Like, can't say I hate Iowa, but I had a strong dislike for them as I was at Iowa State and as a player, and kind of the same thing. They're always like, oh, Iowa State's the little brother, this and that. And I was like, no, what? We just racked up 2 wins on y'all. Back-to-back years. Yeah. It was a good way to go out, leaving and graduating and being gone. And actually, funny enough, some of my good buddies and teammates in the NFL were Iowa players. Great people, awesome teammates in the NFL. And it goes to show, like, that mutual competition back and forth, Iowa State rivalry is real, and it stays there through the NFL and through through the years as we have left. But I mean, great people that I've played against and played with, and it's obviously fond memories to talk about those games with those guys that I played against and played with. So it's really cool.
Absolutely. So AJ, you set an NCAA record for most interception returns for a touchdown by a linebacker in your career with 4.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite one?
Jeez.
I do remember Texas Tech, an 87-yarder.
Texas Tech is a good one.
Yeah.
That was a really good one. We were playing like quarter halves, and there was like a vertical up the seam, and there's like a little, I don't know if it was like a pivot route on the outside, and I stopped carrying the vertical of 3, and I think it was Seth Daggy was the quarterback's name. And he peeked, and I was like, all right, I'm going to break on this, and if he throws it, he's going to throw it right to me. And he did. Obviously, that was the longest one, I think.
I think it was, yeah.
And, I mean, by the end of that, I was like, give me the oxygen mask on the sideline. But, no, that was a really cool one. I think – I don't know if it was my sophomore year or my junior year against UNI.
That's right. You got one there. And I think you had one at Missouri.
I had one at Missouri. That game we ended up losing, but it was like the one spark that kind of helped us turn things around a little bit in the second half. We ended up losing that game. But trying to think what's another one. I had another one against – I should have 5. I hate to say that because I had 4, but should have 5. It's actually funny because Wally Burnham, quick funny story. So we're in practice, practicing 2-minute drill. And I get an interception in practice in 2-minute drill, and I start to run. And I think it was Tom Farniok came up behind, and I didn't see him, punched the ball out. I fumbled it. And offense recovers, they get the ball back. And all I remember is being on the ground and being like I just messed that up. I should have just went down. Should took a knee, right? That's end of the game. Like we win. We were up in the scenario. And I remember Wally Burnham coming off the sidelines, and Wally was screaming at me in my face, like every probably word in the book. He's like, you get an interception, 2-minute drill, you get down, just screaming at me. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to make that mistake again. So I think it was Texas Tech again, junior year. Same thing, 2-minute drill. They're trying to drive. There was a little check down route to the running back. And again, I'm not sure who the quarterback was at that time, but didn't see him. Kind of like
that was a shootout game too.
Overthrew him.
Okay.
And I picked it off, and I had like 60 yards of daylight, and nobody was going to catch me. And I slid. I don't know if it was Texas Tech or not, but I can't remember the team. But I slid down and then ran to the sidelines, and like we win the game. Obviously, offense goes out, takes a knee, and I don't know if it was in meetings or that day. Wally's like, "Why didn't you run it back?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "You just cussed me out in practice not too long ago." I was like, "I wasn't gonna make that mistake again." But he's like, "No, if you have clear daylight, you run." No,
that's awesome.
It's funny. That's why I say I was like, "Oh, I should have had 5." But
so you should have had 5. Okay.
Should have had 5.
Yep, and that's even one more.
Yeah, but I think that story is. It's funny because I was like, that's exactly why I slid, because people were like, why'd you slide? I was like, well, if I could tell you the story real quick, Wally Burnham would have had me by the neck if I wouldn't have slid and fumbled.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, AJ. So you ended your career 2012. You had the 4th most tackles in school history. Your junior year, you were named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, were these things that you even dreamed about happening when you came to Iowa State?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
I just know, like I said, when I was talking to Jamie, as a 17-year-old kid, I just wanted to show up and play ball. Love the game. I love the process of the game. And being the process, I mean, the weight room, the film study, the even though the early mornings stink, like that's the stuff that you got to fall in love with. And I loved it. And I think if you love something enough and you work hard enough and follow the direction of the coaching staff and the direction they're pointing you, and do all the right things, and you're bound to have success in life, no matter what it is. And I was just lucky enough to be surrounded by other great people, right? Great coaches, great players, and that was able to kind of helped me with my personal success. But the personal success doesn't come without team success. So, but yeah, I did not imagine that my career would take the turn that it did. Even when I got the call that year, when I won Defensive Player of the Year, my dad was the one that told me, and I just was kind of speechless. I was like, "What? Really? Like what?"
Yeah.
Like I knew I was playing well, but I didn't think that. I never thought about individual accolades, or any of that stuff, and so to have that recognition was nice. It was kind of that cherry on top of like, hey, your hard work's paying off and you're doing the right things. And it kind of just pushed me forward to be more determined and to keep doing what I needed to do.
Yeah. Well, AJ, your Iowa State career ended, but obviously your football career did not end because you had an amazing career, and you were drafted right away, by Carolina, and by year 3, you're a big part of that team that made the Super Bowl, went 15-1. How special was that team to be a part of that year?
It was very special. I mean, talk about a crazy year, right? We won the close games that we needed to win.
Yeah.
Cam was playing at ultimate high level, won MVP that season, and funny enough, I think my family, I think my parents ended up buying plane tickets to Santa Clara, where that Super Bowl was going to be in
Super Bowl 50
in like October.
Okay.
They never told me that until like when we were getting ready to go. They're like, we bought tickets months ago. Like that team was just something special, right? And number of Hall of Famers on that team, and it was cool. It wasn't effortless because this same thing, a group of guys that love to work, they love the process, they love practicing, and we had so much fun because obviously you don't play the game to lose, right? Winning is fun. Like you play the game to win, and when you're winning and you feel that, like those wins start to stack, and even those close games that, like I think it was the Giants in New York. That was the Odell Beckham and Josh Norman going at each other all game long, and it came to the end of the game, and I don't know if they kicked the field goal to go up. Or tie it. And I know we got the ball, and there wasn't a doubt in our minds that Cam wasn't going to go out there and drive us down for a game-winning field goal, and we were going to walk out of that place winners. You know what I mean? But that was like the aura that surrounded that team. It was just expected. You know what I mean? And then I think it was week 16 in Atlanta, and I think we fumbled, right? We kind of got a little cocky. Everybody was I don't want to say cocky, but I won't even say complacent, but Atlanta gave us their best game, right, of the season. And we were like, oh, we're 15-0. They weren't doing very well. I don't know what their record was, but they weren't making the playoffs. And we're like, all right, we're just going to roll through this team. And they kind of like punched us in the mouth a little bit. And we remember leaving that game, leaving Atlanta, kind of just being like, crap, we just gave up a perfect season, 16-0. And but that point forward, I remember Ron being like, hey, like, you guys want to mess around now or not show up and be locked in, and like, cool, you won 15 games.
Yeah.
But now it's one and done. So what are you going to do about it? We had the first round bye. And then I'm trying to think who we played in the divisional. I want to say it was Seattle in the divisional at home.
Yeah.
And they came out too, hard gunning. Like that was the Legion of Boom, right? And they were on their streak of 12, 13, 14. They were stacked, like, right? Seattle was the next top team in the NFC. And they gave us a good first half. And then we came out and kind of ran away with it in the second half, thankfully. And then we get to Arizona, and it was almost a blowout. And to go and have the confetti coming down and know you're going to the Super Bowl is really, really cool. Dream come true, great experience. Unfortunately, we ran into Von Miller, who ended up becoming teammates with in Buffalo. He single-handedly won that game for him in Denver. But just to have the experience of going to a Super Bowl, experiencing it. Yes, I'd love to have that ring on my finger. I've came close a couple other times, but people would ask me, would you rather never go to a Super Bowl or would you go and lose again? Yeah. And I said, tough question, right? But I would definitely rather go again and lose than not go at all.
Yeah.
Because just to know that all the work that you put in, you get into the pinnacle, like the highest peak, even though you didn't win, you were there competing for the ultimate goal of professional football. You reached the pinnacle of your profession, and you can say that you, even though you didn't win, you can say that you were there and that it's still an experience of a lifetime that majority, I don't even know the percentages, but a majority of the NFL and players that have played in the NFL will never go to.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty special thing.
Well, and you have a unique perspective, AJ, because you played in 3 conference championship games.
Yeah.
So you saw it on the other 2 that you didn't make the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And so, I mean, not many guys can even say that because you played in some big games career. And
those ones were hard. I mean, the one in 2018 with the Saints was tough. Like that hurt. That hurt really badly.
Would you say that was your best year in the league?
2018.
I mean, probably statistically was probably
statistically is close. I know it was weird because in my career in the NFL, I played a lot of different positions. I played on the ball. I played off the ball.
Yeah.
I kind of was picked and moved from positions because I was able to play all 3 positions, and very grateful for that because that extended my career. But 2018 was a very special season as well, right? Drew broke all the records, and it was like we thought it was destiny that we were going to go and we were going to win that thing. And
as for Sean Payton, Sean Payton is your head coach,
and Sean was a great coach who had a lot of fun. Same thing. That same team mentality that we had in New Orleans in 2018 was just a mirror of what we had in Carolina in 2015. And as we started to rack those wins up, and like you could feel it, I could feel it. I felt it before. I knew what it was like to be on a team that like felt pretty much unstoppable, right? Or that we knew that, hey, this playoff run comes, we're going to make a deep run, and we're going to go get this thing. And just unfortunately, I know it's the game where the call has come, the no call has gone down. My dogs are going nuts. That no call that happened on Tommy Lee and the flat, and just I'm not saying it was conspiracy, none of that, but that missed call changed the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say I'm sour about it, but it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. It hurts. You feel like something got stole from you because we get that call, we get a first down, we kneel it 3 times, we kick a field goal with 2 seconds left, and we go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. It goes to overtime. Not Johnny Hecker, I think it's Zerline, bangs a 56-yarder to win it in OT. Tough pill to swallow. That was a hard one. But great awesome year. I love my time in New Orleans. All 3 years we were very, very competitive.
Great teams there.
We had great teams, and just unfortunately had heartbreak those 3 years.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Once again, we're with AJ Klein, one of the greatest linebackers in Iowa State history, and also new inductee of the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame. AJ, you played 11 years in the NFL, which ties for the 4th longest tenure by any Cyclone. You started 82 games in NFL. You were right in the thick of a lot of great games and great players. Who was the toughest offensive player that you had to face?
Oh my goodness.
Or the most dynamic player that you're like, maybe made you shake a little bit when you're lining up?
Oh my goodness. That's a really good question. That's a hard question too, because I've played against a lot of guys.
Yeah, and you don't have to single anyone out, but like just if any couple that just popped to your mind.
As far as dynamic ability, and he was a teammate of mine, Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
When he got to New Orleans, as we drafted him my first year.
Yeah.
Actually, funny, Derek Day, who was one of our coaches at Iowa State, one of my coaches, D-Day.
Yep.
He was at Tennessee with Alvin, and he called me after we drafted him and was like, "Hey, you guys got to steal." He's like, you guys got an absolute steal. I was like, what? He's like, this running back you guys just took, he's a stud. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. We'll see how it is.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, there's a lot of guys that are unbelievable players and just some guys never pan out. And I remember being in like spring training camp and watching this guy run and how he moves and his balance. And it was more apparent we got into training camp and his contact balance and his ability. He was just one of the smoothest runners that I'd ever seen. Like, he could go from 0 to 100 and it looked like he was barely running.
Yeah.
And his ability to not only run routes or to carry the ball and run between the tackles, not just outside, but then also his dynamic pass catching ability out on routes. I mean, Sean used him everywhere. He put him in the slot, put him in the backfield, get him out on flare routes, just getting the ball in his hands. Yeah. His run after catch was I know he had a really successful year this year, but at the time, those 3 years, I mean, I don't know if you could have named a better running back in the NFL at that time.
Oh, he was. Yeah, he was.
It was nuts. Yeah. And he went on. I mean, I think Alvin's coming up on year 8 now, or pretty close to it, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And still one of the top dynamic backs in the NFL.
And so, you know that's pretty rare for a running back to last that long nowadays.
Yeah, and to play against him in practice and have to practice against him. Like, he made me a better coverage linebacker on covering backs out of the backfield because, like, he would juke you out of your shoes. Like, it was unbelievable.
Yeah. You know, AJ, you're obviously this 1 year out of retirement after a great 11-year career, but your final season, which was a year ago, was very unique. You really weren't playing anywhere, and then you get called up by the Buffalo Bills in what week? Was it week 14?
So I was already in Buffalo.
Okay.
I'd signed with them in the off season, came through training camp, did the whole thing, and they just had different plans. They had young guys that they needed to get experience, and I didn't do much of anything during training camp. They're like, hey, we know you know it. We know what you can do.
Yep.
We got to get these guys all the reps they can through training camp and all this. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm saving my body. I'm getting ready for the season. And was released, actually, at the end of that training camp, which completely blindsided me. So I had a few other teams call. I was just like, I don't know if I can pick up and move and go to a different city, and this being probably my last year. And they asked me if I wanted to do practice squad, and the pride in me was like, no. Like, not doing that. I'm an 11-year vet. Like, I'm not sitting in the practice squad, not doing that. And the rules had changed because of COVID and everything else, that more guys and more vets can be on practice squad. So I ate my piece of humble pie and ended up calling Bean back and being like, you know what? If this is what it has to be, I don't want to go anywhere else. Like, I don't want to have to pick up and move my family. It's just too much. So I ended up going on the practice squad and was on practice squad, I think, for about 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks. And then they signed me back to active.
Gotcha.
And I was active the rest of the season. And then kind of got in this weird lull of I was the base linebacker, and I was playing some special teams, but not all of them, because, again, special teams rules have changed. And got to the point where I was like, all right, we need to basically free up a spot. Dawson Knox was coming back off of IR, and they're like, hey, we need a spot. And they called me up and like, hey, we're going to let you go. We don't want to have to let you go, but that's just the thing. And they're like, hey, do you want to go back on P squad? And I was like, you know what? I was like, it was right around Christmas time. I was like, if this is what it's going to be, this is what it's going to be. I'm going to be at home with my family for Christmas. So they ended up releasing me about a week and a half or something. I'm not sure about the timeline, but released me, and I went back to Charlotte, spent Christmas with my family. And then I started, in my mind, I was all right, I think this is it. I don't think there's necessarily – I had some other teams call after I got released and asked if I wanted to come, and I was just like, you know what, same thing. I was like, this is too late in the season. Like, I'm not doing this. And started to plan my off season. I didn't know if year 12 was going to be a thing or not. So I started planning some off-season trips. So we planned a trip to Key West, had a fifth wheel that I'd recently purchased. the year before, and we were going to load up the family, the kids, and we were going to drive down to Key West and spend some time out in the sunshine after being in the snowy Buffalo for the last 4 months or whatever it was. And lo and behold, 3 weeks later, or 2.5 weeks later, they give me a call. Bean sends me a text. He goes, "Hey, I know you said you were going to retire probably, but how retired are you?" I was like, well, what do you need? Like, what do you need to? He's like, "We think we need you to come back." So they called me, said, can you hop on a flight? And we basically talked about the contract stuff and what it would be. And I was like, you know what? It's playoffs. My last chance to probably get a ring. Screw it. Let's do it. Family might have not been too happy about that in the moment, but I was really happy that I was able to happen that way, because I kind of felt like I had some unfinished business. And but the plan was I was going to go be on practice squad. And there are some injuries at the position. And if they needed me to play or suit up, I would walk right in and play special teams, do whatever I needed to do. So as the week progressed, the other person who had some injuries wasn't going to be able to play. So I was going to be activated to active roster for the game and suited up. I was playing 2 special teams, maybe 2 or 3, not sure. And then 2 injuries happen, or another injury happens during the game. And the next thing you know, I'm out there playing the entire midway through the second quarter and the entire second half against the Steelers in the playoffs. And pretty nuts. Didn't expect
it's
it to
a crazy
happen.
story, isn't it?
Yeah, didn't expect it to happen that way. I was literally sitting at home for 3 weeks. And I had 1 day of practice, 1 day to learn the game plan. And luckily I've been with Bean and Sean McDermott and in that system for a lot of years. And just like riding a bike, you know what I mean? You come back in and you're able to get plug and played. And it was fun. It was fun to be out there flying around, playing. And then I ended up starting the next week versus the Chiefs in the divisional, which we unfortunately lost. And I think when I rolled my ankle in that game, when I stepped on Patrick Mahomes' foot, I think I was like, well, this is probably going to be my last game, because even if we win, like, I don't think I'm making it onto the field the next couple of weeks because this ankle is terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful that just how the universe conspired to put me out there and kind of really, really close that chapter of my life the way it happened.
Well, it was an amazing career, AJ, and obviously it seems like you're doing really well in your post-NFL career. And one thing I do want to ask you before we let you go, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time today, is it always appears to me that you're very, very connected with Iowa State athletics still, and how proud of you are you of what Matt Campbell has done with this program after you left? I just think that most of the alum have to feel really happy of like the direction of where the program's at right now.
Yeah, very, very happy and very proud of what he's done with the program. Been very, very fun to watch, and not only that, to see guys having second level success as well in professional in the NFL. It's really cool. It's really cool to see guys come up through the program and see them mature throughout their years, and then watch them transition in the NFL. And I mean, I feel like everybody that's made the leap has played and performed phenomenally. So yeah, it's really, really cool to watch. I love the fact that, I mean, I'm still in touch with some of the guys in the front office here and there, and they've opened the building. I mean, they're like, hey, if you need to come back and work out or do whatever. Obviously, I was in North Carolina, so I didn't need to necessarily to go to Ames to do my workouts and all that stuff. But to make it available is awesome. And they've been great at keeping that relationship strong, staying in touch with guys that have come through and inviting guys back for games. I think it's really important because everybody, not just myself, but every guy that's played or put on the uniform has a special place in their heart for that football program and the university. And I think it's really important to keep those guys and those alumni involved. And I think it's really special that they go out of their way to do things for guys that have come through and played, not only guys that played only under him. You know what I mean? He's going back generations. and inviting everybody back, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, and that's Matt Campbell in a nutshell. There's no doubt about that. And AJ, thanks again for everything. I got one more question to ask you before we let you go. I mean, how excited are you to come back to Ames in the fall for your Hall of Fame induction?
I'm excited, really excited. It's been a long time since I've been back to Ames. I can't even tell you the last time I've been back.
I think it was spring game, wasn't it? That spring game in 16? Was it 16?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Spring game 16. Yeah. Yep. So it's been it's almost 10 years. So it will be very fun to come back and to be able to bring my kids, and they're at the age where they understand it and they get it. And obviously have my family back. It's going to be really cool. And there's a lot of people that my parents even made friends with over the years tailgating. And there's a lot of people and special connections that I'm looking forward to rekindling, and hopefully getting some tailgate time with some people.
Yeah.
Back.
Well, thanks again, AJ, for everything. And I'm so glad you can join us on this CyCast. Thank you.
I appreciate it. No, thank you for your time.